Taylor Greene just won a House seat in Georgia, who is a openly pro QAnon conspiracy theorist.
Oh yeah, okay. I was like, yeah.
I mean, this shit is like. I mean, are you worried about this stuff? Here, let me pull up this article. I don't know how to say her first name.
Marjorie.
Marjorie.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes.
So she.
My God.
She. Here, I'll pull up a video of her just so you guys can see briefly what I'm dealing with.
Okay.
This is her.
Now,
she's an elected representative to the House.
I don't know how much you guys know about Q. It's an anonymous person. All right. So Q is a patriot. We know that
a Facebook
for sure.
mom talking about Q and 4chan. I mean, what?
We do not know who Q is. Okay. So now the question is, I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know who Q is.
This is 30 minutes long.
But I'm just going to
not gonna
tell
watch
you
the whole
about
thing,
it
but
because
this
I
is-
think it's something worth listening to and paying attention to. Okay, and the reason why is because many of the things that he has given clues about and talked about on 4chan and
Can you
other
imagine this woman on
forums.
4chan? As a Facebook mom surfing
I don't
4chan.
understand.
4chan.
There's a couple of things that happened. One of them was when Q signs off, he puts 3 little crosses in a row, 3 little crosses, and that's how he signed off.
Genius.
Now, he signed off with 3 crosses in a row on November 6th, and within a matter of minutes, President Trump, in his tweet right after that on November 6th, he put, it was 7 minutes later, Trump put 3 little crosses on his tweet. And it was not, it was just more than a coincidence. It was
That's
really
crazy.
interesting.
Wow.
I wonder how could this Q know, like, actually influence Donald Trump's tweets or know what he's going to tweet? That's epic.
She's out of her mind, which of course is expected because I think the Republican Party has like gone further and further radicalized in the past like 20, 30 years, especially. You had the Tea Party people, and now Tea
They
Party
seem
is
sane by
norm is the
comparison.
norm.
Tea Party seems
Yeah,
sane
the Tea Party
compared
looks
to QAnon.
normal by comparison.
Yeah.
Tea Party also astroturfed by the Koch brothers, by the way, and numerous other like subsidiaries. That
Wait,
was normalized. There's the
I-
Freedom Caucus now in the House. That's a literal, legitimate Republican entity that is full of Tea Party members. And now they're like, Tea Party's not enough. It's actually a deep state pedophile conspiracy that only Donald Trump is fighting against. No one else. Even if you are a Republican and you find yourself suspiciously against Donald Trump on any given issue, then boom, you're a pedophile too. You're a pedophile now. Everyone's a pedophile.
Isn't
that
it?
Donald Trump,
I find it
argues
so
against.
bizarre that Trump is their white knight, their savior, the dude who just openly admits to cruising into changing rooms of Miss America so he could see underage girls changing. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, what the hell? How is Donald Trump the anti-pedophile? The guy was on Howard Stern like 20 times rating women and just like being a huge like womanizer.
Well, okay. Well, none of that, in my mind, none of that I think shows that he's a pedophile. And I don't even know if Donald Trump's a pedophile. I don't think he is. But the funny part about it is like, he has said Jeffrey Epstein, like he has videos of Jeffrey Epstein. He's been around Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein openly and very famously recruited off of Mar-a-Lago, Virginia Giuffre, who is one of the most famous victims and one of the most vocal victims of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific crimes. And Donald Trump has even said at the time in a Vanity Fair profile, Jeffrey Epstein likes him young like I do.
Yeah,
Like,
great quote.
You know, there's enough breadcrumbs there for you to be like, that's a little sus. If your entire worldview is shaped around being skeptical, that like there is a international conspiracy of pedophiles, then you have to recognize that it is a little suspicious that Donald Trump may or may not have known about this, or even said, "I wish her well" about
Maxwell.
about Ghislaine Maxwell when he found out about it. Like, I know her from Palm Beach. I wish her well. Like, all this stuff is not enough for them to be skeptical of Donald Trump. I understand why you would think Bill Clinton is totally fully knew what the fuck Jeffrey Epstein was doing. I totally get that. I think that's more than reasonable to think that Bill Clinton did some really sus shit. Okay, he's on the flight logs. He knew. I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell was in Chelsea Clinton's wedding. All this stuff tracks, right?
Why would you invite a human
freak the fuck out.
trafficker to your wedding? That's crazy.
Yeah, like that definitely tracks. I mean, she also worked with the Clinton Foundation too. Ghislaine Maxwell did.
Huh.
Yeah, until like 2016, I believe. So like they knew, and they were still working with them, and did not care, I guess, at the very least. But how do you not also assume like Donald Trump is partially kind of in suspicious ground, let's say, to say the least. And these guys definitely don't even need any evidence to declare someone a pedophile. So do you look at all this evidence and say, I don't know, not Donald Trump?
I'm always captivated by how the rationalization is. I mean, Trump said, I'm going to read this 12 because it's great. He says, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. I mean, what the fuck kind of statement is even that to make on record?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This guy definitely did not ever plan to be president. That's for sure.
For sure.
But I think they justify it by saying, well, he disassociated once it all came out.
Yeah, no, he's a white hack. He's a white hat pedophile. like a white hat hacker. He's one of the good ones. He intercepted and did a little bit of pedophilia so that he could uncover the pedophile ring. That's what tracks. That's what makes sense of the minds of QAnon people, I guess. I don't know. It's crazy. Do international sex trafficking rings exist? Certainly. 800,000 kids kids go missing a year or something crazy like that. Like, it's an insane number worldwide. Okay. There's definitely sex trafficking. I believe there is more slavery now on the planet than there was at the peak of like chattel slavery. It's different circumstances, different conditions, but slavery still very much exists. Kidnapping, human trafficking very much exists. Is there sexual degeneracy and perversion all around, and like especially in places of influence? Certainly, but like it's not being operated out of a fucking a pizza restaurant in Washington D.C. You know what I mean? It's not.
Well, when
or
that
it's
guy
not being
went there
trafficked through Wayfair, like a drop shipping website where you could accidentally fucking purchase a child. I guess, like, that's silly. That's incredibly silly.
Although
and
I have to say, the fact that there's a possibility that the Clintons knew what he was up to and still associated with him is kind of scary, because he was the fucking president. And
it is very scary.
And Hillary Clinton obviously was a Secretary of State, super connected. That is kind of conspiratorial, isn't it?
Yeah, no, here's how I describe conspiracy theories, and I talk about this a lot because I'm fascinated with conspiracy theories. Love Alex Jones. And Jeffrey Epstein is one of them where I at the very least entertain and definitely think that he probably did not kill himself and was quote unquote suicided.
Yeah.
But in the overwhelming majority of conspiracy theories, there are far too many moving parts to hide such a vast and grand conspiracy. Like flat earthers, they believe that the earth is flat, and the motivations for it are really insignificant and weird and inconsequential. Like, they would just want to hide the truth from you. But then every single scientist, people who fly planes, just like anyone and everyone has to be in on the conspiracy. That's millions, hundreds of millions of people who are every single day lying to you. And you might have started off with a grain of truth, or maybe like a shred of skepticism where it's well-deserved when you think about flat earthers, like the earth feels fucking flat. You have to suspend your belief in so many completely reasonable things that exist in our everyday existence. And the same goes for all these other conspiracies like 9/11, or the JFK assassination. There's always going to be misinformation out there, and we're never going to know what the full truth of the matter is. And that's what leads people to lose their mind usually, because they don't know this world changing event happened, and now you don't fucking know. You don't know why it happened. and you need to make sense of the senseless. And there are a lot of these grifters out there who just give you little puzzle pieces. It's like religion. It helps you contextualize something that is impossible to contextualize otherwise and comes across as meaningless, even though it's a really impactful event. And the human mind works that way, where you're like, come on, I need a puzzle piece for this. And that's what QAnon does, and that's what all these conspiracy theorists do. I just never thought that it would be this successful and this quickly.
I mean, I wonder, in a weird way, like fascism is almost like operating by mainstream conspiracy. I mean, look at the propaganda the Nazis peddled, is that the Jews have destabilized the world. Every major war, every destabilizing factor was backed by the Jews. I mean, if somebody said that today, that would be held as like, wow, that is fucking out there, dude. But they somehow made that a mainstream belief. And so,
well, they have different substitutes for that. They say cultural Marxism, which is nearly identical to cultural Bolshevism, which is what the Nazis used to say. That whole like Frankfurt School propaganda, anti-Semitic propaganda, is directly associated with more common versions of that you can hear from any number of different conservatives, not just conspiracy theorists, but conservatives, because it comes from the same place. They don't openly say it's the Jews that are single-handedly and solely responsible for it, but they'll just say, oh, it's the Frankfurt School that is, that is responsible for our college campuses being so left-leaning, and they're teaching Marxism to our kids. It's at the heart of every ideology, and fascism is just another form of that.
What do you make of the whole George Soros fascination? I mean, like, that shit.
I mean, he's a billionaire. He's a weird dude.
He's a fucking
billionaire.
He just strikes me as a very typical billionaire. He makes a lot of money. He's a hedge fund manager. He donates a lot of money to charities. He's done some shitty stuff, and that's pretty much how you describe any billionaire.
Yeah, and I think some of that, again, never forget, there's always a shred of truth in all of these conspiracy theories, and that's at the heart of the conspiracy theory, that they then tack on 17 different layers of like psychopathic nonsense, right? So the heart of the truth with the George Soros matter is a 1998 60 Minutes interview where George Soros answers a question about whether or not he collaborated with Nazis in a really weird way. But he was fucking 14 years old in the end of the war, and he's a Holocaust survivor whose family was, his family got killed. He was trying to fucking live. They try to incorrectly claim, including Marjorie Greene, that he collaborated with the Nazis. George Soros did not collaborate with the Nazis.
What is it?
But in that 1998 interview, he said something along the lines of, I don't feel bad at all about my actions personally during the Holocaust, and that anyone in that situation could have done exactly the same thing. And there's like one error with the one instance of that interview where it's like conflicting, but he immediately clarifies it, where because the interviewer says, did you work with Nazis to confiscate Jewish properties? And he's like, no, I did not. But in a way to survive, I think he portrayed himself as not Jewish, which many people did at the time that survived the Holocaust. And he was 9 years old in the beginning when the Nazi Party took power, and 14 by the end of it. So it's fucking ridiculous to assume that he had any sort of blame for anything, regardless, as a child.
Can you imagine how fucking like just evil you have to be to accuse someone who lived through the Holocaust at the ages of 9 to 13 of collaborating with the Nazis when you were fighting to survive? Your whole family was exterminated, and to now, as a man who's come so far, to accuse him of collaborating with the Nazis, I mean, that's like digging so deep. It's so fucking vile. I mean, that's just demonic.
And Marjorie Greene said that, by the way. She literally asserted that multiple times, among numerous other psychotic things that she believes in. And now she is potentially going to be a congressperson. Very cool. But yeah, it's the George Soros stuff is like pretty crazy. But again, the shred of truth in every conspiracy theory is that as a billionaire, he has an immense amount of power, just like every other fucking billionaire does. But like, it's not because he's Jewish, it's because he's a fucking billionaire, okay? Like, and that's what every billionaire does. And now they're like kind of moving away from George Soros, even though it's the heart of every conspiracy theory regardless. But like now they're attacking Bill Gates. But it's not because Bill Gates wants to fucking put RFID chips in your bloodline through vaccinations. It's because he's a billionaire who absolutely motivates politicians to act a certain way that corresponds to his personal worldview or personal ideology or immediate profits when it comes to deregulation, for example.